today's discussion. So allow me, members, last week, my friend Faith Kadondi did a great job. She did a great job in summarizing what we discussed. Faith, are you online? Faith, are you online?
Yes, doctor.
Prof liked your summaries and what you did. We request that you become the secretary for today also, and you do the same the way you did it last week.
Okay, doctor.
Thank you very much. Now, I think we can go into the presentations. Members, we'll be given maximum of 5 minutes. If you can use less, that would be better. And I'd like to now call upon the secretary for group 1 to give us what they discussed in the group. Yes, group 1.
I'm not sure. Was that where I am, Wapide Julius?
Yes, Julius, you're in group 1.
Okay, thanks very much.
It's our group that is supposed to present.
Okay, thanks, doctor. We're in group 1. First of all, I would like to thank Professor Tai for an informative lecture he has given us. So in group 1, there are 4 points that were raised: how to overcome the epistemological obstacles to theorizing. 1, it was noted that there's usually a mismatch between context and literature reviewed, which does not bring out the truth due to inconsistencies in what is probably perceived or received. So I think to overcome the obstacle is to match the context and match the literature being reviewed and the context, so that gap is narrowed. The second point is on the having a fixated methodological approach, whereby you either have a research question or a hypothesis which is driving you into a certain direction. Therefore, I think to overcome that obstacle is to generally to begin with the data, or not having or not be fixated with the methodology, getting married to a certain method that this is ABCD. Another point, the third one, which was raised, is the lack of the mixture between art and science knowledge. Therefore, to overcome that obstacle is that those who are in arts, researchers in arts, the knowledge in science, and those in science need also the knowledge in art. So when you mix the two, it becomes, you are able to overcome some of this, so that the knowledge in art supplements or supports the knowledge in science. And the other one is avoid. Okay, I think to avail platforms for practitioners and scholars, so that the practitioners can inform the scholars, and the scholars can also inform the practitioners, or also be informed by the scholars. And maybe lastly, this was not raised because I was secretarying or writing, therefore, I thought about that also. To overcome this, there should be, I'm thinking about the concept of scholarly blue ocean, that the knowledge in scholarship should allow free thinking. In other words, free thinking, not always to box us into, putting us into a box of thinking, by the kind of the methodologies. However, Professor Ntaye alluded to it that you first finish your PhD, you needed a degree, and then later on you can do the challenges. You can challenge or critique whatever was being told. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you very much, Julius Wabwire, for summarizing issues from Group 1. I think they are well noted. I will not in actual sense go in details of again expanding on them because of time. The senior colleagues will do that at the end. Allow me to invite Group 2 to discuss their issues, to present their issues. Group 2.
As Group 2, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Doctor, for all support and with all protocol observed. In Group 2, we had come up with the following. First and foremost, we recognized that we must try to use empirical data. Let it be the starting point that will allow us to start to think. Secondly, we said we must look at interviews and observation. Let us see what's taking place on the ground and appreciate what the situation on the ground. Thirdly, as a group, we recognize that there's need to do a lot of reading. And as we read, we must appreciate the work done by others, in respectively our contemporaries. In other words, we have come to say that we have academic giants within our communities. Let us stand on their shoulders and see what they've built on and advance where they have advanced. Because we recognize the quality and the ability for them to really know that their subject area as well. So by standing on our contemporaries, we can be able to now start actually the theory building. 4, we believed in using existing data from the World Bank or UBOS. And then from that, we can start now beginning to appreciate the reality and start actually building the theories around that. That is what we as Group 2 recognized would be useful in order to enable us to let go of the epistemological challenges. I submit, Chair. Thank you once more.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ronald, for that. As I said, allow me now call upon Group 3. I hope issues are being taken care of, noted down by my colleague, and also we are recording them. This information is quite important in our theory building efforts that are going on. Yes, okay, yes, Group 3.
Yes, good morning, Doctor and
Good
colleagues.
morning, Francis.
Yeah, this Francis Aru, that's Group 3. How do we get rid of epistemological obstacles to theory? The few we managed to gather is 1, you must have autonomy of thought or carry out intellectual inquiry into the data. 2, we talked about interrogating the data. If you're excited about it, you must be, or shocked about the data, then you must ask the questions. Why are you shocked with that data? 3, you must ensure the credibility of data. Yeah, where you're getting it from, how is it, how credible it is. And then 4, we said that you must ensure that there is a wider source of data. Probably you are talking about UBOS, but of course, Bank of Uganda gets its data. It could be internally sourced or externally sourced. And those are the 4 key points we managed to pick up. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Francis, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, we are within time. We'll go to Group 4.
Thank you, Doctor. In Group 4, we raised the 5 points. And the first point is improvement or adjustment in the curriculum used in the universities. Then the second point was increase the belief in the works produced by African students in African universities, not only believing that works done in Germany or Netherlands or Australia is more important work and important theories, but you also need to believe in the works done by African universities, even including Ugandan universities. Then thirdly, we talked of using of existing data from credible organizations like UBOS and World Bank. Then fourthly, we talked about having more flexibility and reduce rigidity in our universities. And lastly, we said professors should be open-minded in training and supervising works from students so that we can get as many ideas as possible. That's what we discussed as group 4. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much, James. James's submission brings us to the end of the presentations, and now we are going to have submissions from the senior colleagues. But what I note that is actually coming out to be very, very common throughout all the groups, the issue of being open-mindedness in our research. Just to take note that if you realize that most of our colleagues who are ahead have taken the route of theory building approaches. And that's why the qualitative work is taking, is leading in that direction. You'll find that you find more 80 or 70% of publications are qualitative compared to quantitative. And that the reverse is true here. Actually, we have not yet managed to go qualitatively and giving it that automatic support. So all groups have presented from group 1 to group 4, and we have heard from them, which is key and important. Unless there is another comment from another group, then I'm going to start now inviting senior colleagues to come and give their remarks before we come to the conclusion. Is there any submission from the participants that you need to add on before I invite the senior colleagues? Those who have been in the discussion, is there something that was not concluded that you think you need to put to attention of the participants today and possibly cause a better and improve the discussion?
Sorry, Chair. I'm sorry, Doctor. I would like to maybe bring out a concept. They call it appreciative inquiry. Could that be something that we could be able to use to help us break off from the boundaries? Is it something we can consider?
Perfect. Appreciative inquiries. These are very good and they move with the qualitative work. And to me, I think qualitative inquiries are important so that they enable you to actually, they break the ice, they enable you to open your mind and give you more light in the subject of investigation. And I think my other colleagues can add on that. Any other comment from the audience?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, Juma.
Doctor, there is also, if we could, if scholars could look into the theorizing process so that at least at masters, it's a little bit lighter compared to leaving it only for PhD people. They could look at the master's cohort. It should be having something like to do with theorizing. Then when you progress to PhD, the complex bit is taken on. Maybe that it can increase the culture and morale.
That's good, but it begins with you. I think, Juma, you have made a good submission, but it begins with you. You must play your part, do a good job, and make a contribution in this area of study. But again, policies tend to take different routes. So depending on the route you are taking, policymakers need to develop such policies. So I think it was group 4 that brought the issue of curriculum review in line with trying as much as possible to address such issues that we have in our curriculum. And I think your point is good, but my colleagues will maybe make a submission to that. I think in the interest of time, I can now call upon the colleagues to come and have a few issues to say regarding the same. Dr. Sam Mayanjai, I'd like to appreciate there are so many senior colleagues today, Dr. Gike, Dr. Goret Chayune, Dr. Ibrahim Musenze, Professor Janet Chogavire, Dr. Jore Kabagawe, Dr. Michael Okoche, Dr. Mire Kwagala, Dr. Gideon Nkurunziza, Dr. Sada Chimuli Nachejwe, Dr. Samuel Mayanja. All of you are welcome, and I think I'll need to get, and possibly we can close this. Dr. Sam Mayanja, do you have anything you can say quickly?
Yeah,
Dr.
thank you,
Sam?
Dr.
Yes.
For moderating this. Maybe one contribution I want to make is about the historical epistemological evolution. This is where the concepts have been studied over years, and this is the theory they have been using. Now, when you come in to study the same concepts, you are likely to stick to that, and then you are not likely to generate new knowledge because this has been done, and you also allude to what has been existing. And so you may not go into reviewing the literature deeply to see whether there is coherence or non-coherence because of that historical perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sam, for that. Dr. Sada Chimuli, do you have any comment regarding this discussion today? Dr. Chimuli Sada? Dr. Sada, are you online? Right. Dr. Nkurunziza Gideon?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Maybe I start from what one of the members mentioned about appreciative inquiry. Appreciative inquiry is very good. I know when you are designing an interview guide and you design it the way that it is going to be an appreciative inquiry, where it brings out the context, the actions, and the results. I think that is very good in theorizing. It's a good approach. My major comment, I think, is about the consistency of thought. In theorizing, when you are theorizing, I know reading is good. You read widely, but at times you get lost in other people's views to the extent that you actually lose the other original thinking about your study. And even at times you find that there's a mismatch between the context, of course, the context, the empirical review of theories and other literature. You find that even if where you need to use progressive coherence literature review, you end up using the sensitized coherence or other approaches. You find the methods again, the methodology and the methods, they don't actually help you to answer the objective. I think the consistency of thought is very, very key in theorizing. Basically, that is what I can say today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gideon, for your submission, especially on your additional information on the appreciative inquiries and also on the concept of consistency of thought. That is very, very important in academic writing, very, very powerful in academic writing. We can get a comment from Dr. Miri Kwagala, if you are there. Dr. Miri? Dr. Miri, any comment from your side? Dr. Miri, any comment from your side? Dr. Midi, okay. We can move to Dr. Jolie Kawagabe, if you can give us a comment. Dr. Kawagabe, are you online?
Yes, I'm online, Dr. Ahmad. Thank you. Thank you for moderating this session. Good morning, everyone on this call. My contribution is to really share the same mindset as colleagues are bringing out, that we should now be more open. We have the opportunity to meet on these forums to discuss on the way forward, and our role as contributors to society is to begin to change our mindset and begin to question the data that we have, and don't maintain the view that as it was is and will always be, but begin to say, what do the outliers say in our context, and what can it explain? How can we theorize what applies to our context, and whether it can work for us and elsewhere, so that we are open to growing new knowledge. I thank you, members on this call, and our initiator. And further, to agree on the forums for practitioners and researchers, because I believe that from the data from practitioners, then the researchers would be able to generate theories that explain our environment. Thank you, moderator, for this session.
Thank you very much. Professor Chogabire, do you have a comment? Professor Chogabire, do you have a comment? Professor Janet, any comment? Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Prof.
All that are on this call. I would thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed, for the coordination, and I would also like to thank Professor Ntai for the organizing. I don't have to add much, but only to say that all in all, if we have to continue theorizing from where we are at the moment, we need also not to leave behind the students that we are moving along with, that they can also build on the theories that are existing, but they can go further and justify why they think they want to move in another direction of theorizing, and then they contribute to what is existing. Because I heard what we were suggesting as the obstacles or the challenges, and one of them was on the curriculum or the policies in different universities. But I think if you justified why you think you want to take a particular path, even the person supervising, and you convinced him, would understand you and you would pass and get your paper. After that kind of justification, you have read widely the literature that is existing, and you feel that you can also add something in improving on the theorization that is already existing because you have an alternative view. I was just imagining the situation we are going through at the moment. Do we have the theory, for example, that may explain? There could be theories that we can hinge on, but there isn't really one that is in particular can explain the situation. So if a student is studying the phenomena that is going on at the moment, then he would be able to justify his way of thinking and theorizing and make sure that and in the process, he would be adding on to knowledge, because knowledge grows with time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Janet Kebi. I think you have emphasized again the issue of open-mindedness, even to the side of the students, and with that, we really appreciate. I'd like to go to Dr. Goretti. Dr. Goretti, you have something to say?
Thank you, Dr. Walugembe. And I would like to thank all the colleagues and the students that have made submissions on this. When we are looking at epistemological barriers, first of all, we are hinging ourselves to credible knowledge. And with the intent of developing theories through adhering to appropriate theorization process we have seen, we need to look at free thinking. That's my observation. We need to have some free thinking. We need to have free thought. Much as we are building on existing knowledge, this scope of knowledge, so long as it is credible, justifiable, you have good databases you are using to come up with your theorization, like we've been actually directed to using existing data because it has been produced in a more credible manner. We may be able to theorize, but also to take it further. Much as we may be able to overcome the barriers by allowing free thinking, institutions have certain policies. Of course, you come up with your justified process, how you have created your knowledge, how you have generated your evidence and so on to produce the theory you've come up with. So long as the institutional policies don't allow that kind of process, it may cause some limitation. And I still agree with the observation that the institutions have to be brought on board to accept the way one has come up with the knowledge generated. The rationale of your beliefs, your justification, so that we are able to be able to come up with the theories in our own context. So on top of the submissions made by other members, I agree that we need to take it from here to have proper theorization process and generate more theories. I submit.
Thank you very much, Dr. Goretti, Chaine, for that wonderful submission. And I think it adds a lot of value to us and to researchers and academicians that are interested in this. I think this is the way to go, and I believe that we can make great contributions. I'd like now to ask Dr. Michael Okoche to make his contribution, and I will request Dr. Ibrahim Musenze, if still online, he will close with his remarks and also give us the closing remarks. Dr. Michael. Dr. Michael Okoche, are you online? I think Dr. Okoche is not online. Dr. Ibrahim. Dr. Ibrahim Musenze.
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, Dr. Ibrahim, I'll request that you give us your comments on our discussion, and also you'll give us the closing remarks and the closing prayer today. Thank you.
I want to thank you for ably chairing the session. But before I give the closing remark, I want also to give one or two issues relating to the topic of discussion today. Members, from the presentations of Professor Antai, you realize that the theory building process is ideally a complex process. And because of its complexity, we need to really handle it adequately well if we are to come up with robust kind of theories. Of course, in this regard, as advised, we need to see a shift away from applying basically existing theories to becoming critical thinkers, in which we need to discover our own kind of theories because of the peculiarities of the situation. Because of the complexity associated with the theory building process, as highlighted by Professor Ntai, we need to pay critical kind of attention on basically 4 or 5 issues. One, that before we come up with this theory, we need to clearly bring up the definition of the key issue onto which the theorizing process revolves. And then we need to classify issues in there before we move in to issues regarding inducing and deducing, as Professor ably said. Then we can now say begin to infer, predict, and then test theories, a practice which may lead us to perhaps develop models and forming sub-theories moving forward. So having said that, we need to really be very, very critical in doing this, and also to realize that the quality of theorizing is a function of precision with which the theorist uses the processes that Professor Ntai articulated. Therefore, any student or anybody or researcher who is attempting to theorize will need to really do so with a lot of precision if actually we are to evolve what we call or regard as a credible theory. Now, you as students also, we need to pay a little bit of attention on the structural elements of a theory, and I think these were highlighted in the presentations by Professor Ntai. Basically look at the terms that you are used or you are going to embed in the theory. Okay, under there, you look at the basic concepts, the theoretical constructs, and then the general language. Then the second element in which you are now going to look at the statements that you make. Pay attention under that sub-area to issues of facts. We want factual issues to be articulated or embedded in the theory. The definition needs to be critically very clear. Be very, very clear with the propositions and assumptions you make before you move on something else. Of course, the possible kind of sources for the statements that you make while developing this theory, you need also to look at the issue of personal experience in the discipline, and therefore that's why it's better to develop a theory in the area where you have more experience and knowledge. You may also look at the issue of structural observation, okay, as a source of statements that you are going to embed within the theory. Be very, very, very articulate, knowledgeable with issues of philosophical positions, because these have a bearing when you are coming up with these theories. And then you also need to do wide reading. And I think Professor ably said that it's better you take up systematic reviews if you are really going to be able to come up with robust theories. Chair, that said, I want to now give the closing remarks. On this note, I want to thank Professor Ntai for organizing this knowledge sharing platform. And I think it has been, and it continues to be, very, very important, not only to students, but also us as scholars. So I want to really thank him for this initiative and promise to be part and provide a supportive role in seeing the initiative move forward. Secondly, I want to thank Professor Ntai Steve for the time and the commitment has given us for the numerous kind of presentations that is really giving us. And these are really very, very insightful, and we cannot take that very lightly. I want to appreciate senior colleagues who are really waking up this early to come and be part of this, and also assist our junior scholars, the PhD students, in actually appreciating some of these issues as being raised here. I want to also thank the students who wake up very, very early, as early others wake up and join the platform as early as 2 a.m. Actually, this is really very, very good, and you've kept the candle burning, and we need to move. And I want to assure you that with this in mind and with this effort, you are likely to score and be able to finish on time. I want to advise our waiver that as we go through this, you should have insights to pick, and this must be used to refine your proposals, because at the end of the day, the end product will be the proposal, the end product will be the thesis. We don't want to be here week in, week out, when actually students cannot pick or tap into this rich knowledge to be able to develop their own kind of document. So please begin to work on your documents using the knowledge you are getting here, and don't be shy to ask for a platform to present your work, because through criticism, your work will drastically improve. I want to thank Dr. Walugembe for ably chairing the session, and I think you've done so previously, and you are continuing to do so. The direction you are taking us in is really very commendable, and we pray that we continue to work in that direction. With those few remarks, I want to thank everybody on this platform and wish you a nice Sunday. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibrahim, for the closing remarks. Just a point of information, because we have already closed, other issues that in the chat, please bring them next week. We shall discuss them. One thing is, again, to inform you that, and I'll also congratulate Professor Ntai for being ranked among the top scholars in the world, among the excellent scholars in the region, and among the best in the country. So Professor Ntai, we congratulate you officially for that. That link has been moving around on social media platforms, and everybody has seen it. So we are glad that our colleague, our senior, and our mentor is part of such, being the leader, actually being part of the best 10 in the country. That is so great. It means that we have we are dealing with somebody who is actually on top of the game. So colleagues who have raised a few issues, please bring them back next week, because we have already closed. Thank you very much. Next week we shall have the same thing, and those students who like to present their work, please continue registering with Mr. Mujabi Shafiq or Professor himself, so that you can be scheduled for a presentation. Thank you very much. I wish you a nice week and a nice Sunday. Thank you and goodbye.